back. We are here again with Booker Harris, basketball coach extraordinaire. That's what I'm just going to call you, B. I mean, I don't care if anyone else calls you that. That's what I'm going to call you because that's what I love. Because I love you. Booker's been here. He shared with us in the first episode last week. He shared with us his journey for managing his mindset as that came from a young kid learning the game, finding out, man, I've got a little bit of skill in this, putting in the work, the effort to really become better at it, going into high school, really taking a high school team and really leading that team from continuous losing seasons to the playoffs multiple years and really kind of establishing a little run, passing it off to his brother who then helped that run continue, and then transitioning then from being a superstar in high school to college and the challenges mindset-wise around that. And so we're going to continue this discussion today on managing your mindset with Booker talking a little bit about his transition from, okay, playing basketball, and that's my dream, and that's where we are, and we left off a little bit right there, to, gosh, I've got to find something else that I'm just as passionate about, and he's found that in coaching. But that transition and how difficult that was on his mindset and how he had to manage that. So we're going to dig into that. Before we start, obviously, we want to encourage everybody to continue to please like, share, and subscribe. It has been so helpful to our channel, and we just appreciate the support. So thank you so much. So B, talk to us a little bit. Your hoop dreams, your hoop dreams are starting to come to an end in terms of playing. What is that like? What are you feeling, and how are you managing that transition?
Yeah, after, the transition from playing and, enjoying success at the high school and then college, being on a great team, NCAA tournament team, for those of you who don't know. So I know you were front row, Travis, when we sweep that a win against Santa Clara.
Heart-wrenching, because we just knew we were going to the tournament that year. B Jones was balling. We knew it. It was heart-wrenching, but you guys got lucky. It's cool. Whatever. Go Broncos.
Hey, getting lucky at the right time. Sometimes it's being in the right place at the right time and being well prepared. So you make that luck happen.
Okay.
You make that luck happen. But, to kind of circle back to that whole transition of having your basketball career come to an end, for me, it was one of those things. I was trying to figure out how to buy time, as a senior, and who kind of had like underclassmen and other teammates and who had excelled and passed me up in skill level. I was able to connect and kind of like still be the older teammate who would coach the younger guys on the bench and tell them what I see. And then the reality came, May of graduation came. And then I was working and tried to buy time that summer. When I mean working, I was working like summer camps. So I still had found a niche to remain close to what I loved doing, but I was teaching or babysitting, more like it, with the group I had, because you wanted getting, first through third graders, and they barely can make it on a 10-foot basket. And so I went, into a master's program to work on my MBA at the time. And then the reality set in when I found out I had to get my ACL repaired. So I had a torn ACL, went and got the surgery. But at the time, a buddy of mine who played at Cal Berkeley, Anwar, invited me to go help him out, and he was coaching at the high school level. So I had worked with him. I was doing summer camps, the kids camps, and things like that. But that transition, it was hard to get rid of that competitive edge that I had. So it was one of those things I found out myself. I had to, sit down and think about what I wanted to do. Like, did I want to get out there 9 to 5? Did I enjoy working with other people? And I still love the game. So I was able to kind of sit back, and assess like those 3 things that I love to do, and thought about the avenue. And getting into coaching, as you guys know, you have such a wide range of people that you interact and mentor and have them think about ways to get to the end goal of where they want to get. So having that transition and what it looked like for me was a whole bunch of trying different avenues and not being afraid um, to see where it might go. Um, but when you have that identity of doing a certain thing and then it winds up flipping and you have to um, find something new, it does seem like there's, in a sense, like a piece of you that's away. Um, so you're looking constantly to see what, what, who am I, and like what are my outer limits. And it's one of those things where it kind of took me getting feedback from other people of what they thought, um, and then realizing how I felt when I did each and every different activity.
Mm, mm. How,
Right on. Like as you were talking through that, like I had a series of
you're
questions
right.
going on that I wanted to fire your way, man. You sort of naturally began to sort of answer those, and the main thing that you just got done answering, and maybe I just want to point out is you did that
Mm,
self-reflection, right? And then you were open to hearing feedback and eliciting feedback, which then allowed you to pivot
yeah,
probably quicker than most around, okay, this is not where I'm going, but I need to change, my mindset or just my drive or my ambition and put it in a different direction, which I mean, as you can see, is playing out with a successful coaching career, right? So,
appreciate that. Yeah, so like I said, it was for me. I had to think about what I think about, and like you mentioned, the whole scenario and not being afraid to pivot. Um, it was one of those things where there was a wider range of stuff that I tried, just searching, and like you said, being open to feedback, great teammates, great people that I surrounded myself with, which we talked about a little bit before, and then kind of like focusing on that. Like it's amazing what um, human will and desire, um, how it kicks in and what where it can bring you when it takes over.
Yeah, it's crazy, and I know, Mike, when we're coaching some of our clients, this is a topic that I feel like comes up a lot, which is I have my mindset on something that I want to accomplish and not being able to take feedback to one, have you even assessed whether that's the most important thing to you? And two, if that option is not available, then what, right? And I don't know. I know I've coached through that. Have you found yourself in those situations, Mike, when you're coaching folks, and what do you talk about with them?
sure. I think the thing that sticks out the most is a recent example for me in regards to me sort of supporting this training program that I'm doing with with this organization, and like I find myself having to keep sort of these not affirmations at the front of my brain in terms of persevering and moving it along, but but be patient, ask questions, be open to feedback. So like for me, it's having a mantra going into these circumstances, which really helps me, right? Because it sort of keeps me grounded, and I don't get caught up in things that I shouldn't,
Mm,
you know. So
yeah,
so I think, to answer
yeah.
your question, how I support people, but also what I do for myself, because I'm a huge believer of, what you're talking about, do it, is like having some sort of mantra that you have that sort of keeps you grounded in these circumstances where you're open,
Hmm.
right? You're listening, but also where you're setting boundaries with things, right? So,
Yeah,
um, but that's what I
nailed
have to
it.
offer there.
So B, your high school coaching, and now it looks like what other opportunities started to come up for you, because you actually created these opportunities, by the way, by changing your mindset, getting advice, doing the work, and now some other opportunities are presenting themselves. So walk us through that.
Yeah, so it was one of those things where I wound up, you know, was working on my master's and then still wanted to be around the game. And one of my old coaches from USF wound up getting like a head job at Long Beach State, and so he said, "Hey, I can't pay you, But I can give you an opportunity. So it's one of those things where I went down, you know, packed up the Honda Civic, loaded 5 duffel bags, and kind of put myself out there. Like I said, it was one of those things. Luckily for me, I had, once again, support system. I had a cousin of mine who lived out there, so I was able to crash until I was able to at his on his couch and in his house, you know, until I was able to get an apartment on my own out there. But like you said, taking that step forward on it for that opportunity, and I had actually drove down there to work at camp first before I came back, and he saw, you know, my ability as far as my interaction, the energy I brought, and it kind of opened up that door, and then the whole thing kind of took over in the business of college basketball, just because, like, for instance, there's only 300 and something colleges at each level, whether it's Division 1, 2, or 3. So it's competitive and it's minute, and you need an opportunity and somebody to open a door for you. And it's one of those things where I was kind of able to navigate through 4 other different universities, being a part of a staff there, and working with young people, and just being able to mentor and hang out. One of the things that I realized more, like, true, you are teaching a skill set of basketball wise, but all the time you spend around them, you're actually learning more about them in life and what's going on, and the pressures of school, the atmosphere at home, if it's productive back home, or if it's best, you know, to make that decision to cut out all the other distractions, and be proactive in a sense, as far as, like, looking out for their own future, sometimes more than them, because at that age, you know, sometimes you get blinders on and you don't see
Yeah, absolutely.
all the potential that you have in yourself. And it's nice to have, like I did, someone to pick up. It's like, hey, you know, by the way, you're really good at this. And it's almost one of those things when you think about, in a sense, like a seed for, like, a tree that has a fruit, like apples or something like that. Just that seed, there's something in all of us, I think, when you get the right watering and people nurturing it, that allows it to grow. And then if you think about it, the whole fruit thing, like, fruit doesn't roll to us. Like, and what I mean by that, people go out to that tree to pick the fruit. So they're drawn to it. So having somebody able to see that and nurture that with you may allow the opportunity for other people to come want to grab a piece of the gift that you're offering, or your passion that you're offering, and whether it be in, you know, business or in sports or singing and acting or whatever it is.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Mike.
I just real quick, like, the thing that came up for me, it's like, you know, just building relationships with people.
Yeah.
You know, like, how do you connect and how do you engage and have, you know, I mean, you're not going to be BFFs, right? But it's like, you know, how do you naturally engage and have a genuine relationship with someone, which is huge.
Yeah, and I just love to see common themes throughout our programs of people who have had success, right? I mean, what you will find is each person is telling you their specific story, but there's some things that just are common about people who are successful. They surround themselves with good people. They learn from their mistakes. They find ways to overcome their fears. They work on the things that they need to work on, and then they build a network of support systems, right? And what I love about your story is you saw opportunity and you took it. You didn't necessarily say, "Oh, well, man, if I'm not getting paid for this, like, forget it." But you saw an opportunity and you knew, if I can flip this opportunity into something greater, it's going to lead to amazing success, and it's led you to you nailed it, right? There's only 1,000 head coaching basketball positions in the country, dude, and you're one of them, right? I mean, how many people are there in America? What, a couple 100 million, right? Like, and you're one of 1,000, right? So What's that like? I mean, what's that like going to that step, and then now you're influencing the minds of countless 18 to 22 year olds coming in the building and looking at you and going, "You're the man. Tell me what to do. Help me, guide me." What's that like?
I wish it was that easy as far as they walk in and say you're the man. So it's all about, like you mentioned, connection and relationships, and like the more I think about it, like it's pretty awe-inspiring about like how it is limited. And obviously you work really hard, and there's plenty of people that work hard, but it's figuring out a way, to kind of separate yourself, and every morning, um, getting better. It's almost in a sense, it's like it's you versus you, um, you know, fighting for that position, and working your way up. And like I said, don't get me wrong, like there, a person had to give me an opportunity, and I had to be ready for it. But
Mhm.
my approach is, every morning try to win the day. Like you wake up and have a couple of choices. I can be, very happy, or I can be, or let whatever happened the day before affect how I'm going to approach the day. And I think it's that shift about, think about what you think about. Like in the morning when the alarm goes off, uh, the biggest danger for a lot of people is you pick up your phone, you see your email, you check, your feeds, this and that, but you haven't had a chance really to kind of, see where you're at and take a breath, and whether
Mm.
it's like meditate for the day or read for the day or start your way off with some
There you
routine
go.
so you can be prepared. Because don't get me wrong, everything didn't go perfectly. Like it's cool, or that I'm a head
Yeah.
coach now, but like I said, there were plenty no's along the way, or like sorry but no thank you, or one of those things. But
Hmm.
I'd say the thing that kept me going, is that people, the circle, taking advantage of the opportunity, and then most importantly, having a true belief that something would happen. You know, it may not happen when I want it to, but having, um, an approach, knowing that, hey, the people that I'm working with are having an impact on my life, and I'm able to affect theirs, was one of those things that kind of got me through. And then, walking through the door as a head coach now, it's one of those things where you're like, wow, I'm in that position, and you get to look back and remember how it was. Because like we mentioned, at that age, even I was that age, like you don't come in necessarily right away like, oh, what are you going to teach me, because I've had success to get to this point where you liked
Hmm.
me and you recruited me and you brought me in. So I'd say the biggest transition for that is kind of like being approachable, having a relationship with them, and then just knowing that you're looking out for the greater good of something beyond a sport that they're doing. In my position, like about the connection, and caring about that young person, and seeing the potential that they have, that they don't even see in themselves at times.
Yeah, that's huge, right? So as a leader,
How,
really focusing on the person versus focusing on the task that they're completing, right? And helping them be well rounded. I think that's huge. I know that's something that I focus on as well. Um, so you've been a head coach for now what? 10 years it's been? 10
Yeah,
seasons?
this is starting of my tenth year as a head coach. Yeah.
Man, congrats, my brother. Congrats, man. That is impressive. Seriously, that's really impressive. What's different mindset wise from year 1 and 2 to now year 9 and 10? What's different in your mindset now?
uh, Ooh, what's different now? It's probably, you know, that's a really good question, and that stumped me, because the first 3 years, hey, in a sense, you faked it till you made it, or or or
Hey, nothing wrong
or
with that.
no, exactly. Probably the better example is because Mike Travis, you guys are parents with kids, and it's one of those things. If I were to tell you to be like, "Hey, are you ready to be a dad?" and then you guys were probably like, "I don't know if I'm ready," but you've been around people
I'm
in
about to
scenario,
be right. It's just
people in
yeah,
scenarios where
yeah.
you were prepared to do that, whether you guys knew uphand or not. But like I said, just by the way you guys are and how you guys were raised and the support and your guys' approach and mindset, no doubt you guys were prepared to do what you do as parents. And it's one of those things. The first 3 years, it's one of those things I myself still was trying to figure out what direction I wanted to go, my identity, how I wanted to lead, how I wanted to cultivate those relationships. And now in year 10, it's one of those things. It's like I'm aware of how I am, like my good things, my shortcomings, realizing I don't have to be perfect, not being afraid of failure, to put yourself out there because you'll actually learn from it. I think early on in life, you're so nervous about putting yourself out there and failing that you think if you do fail this time, it'll all be over. But it's not. It's one of those things. What happens when you fail is how you react to it. And you know, that attitude about it. It's one of those things where the attitude can be either kind of like the key or the lock on your route to success. For me, and that's one of the things I've learned. You know, after time, more self-awareness, more ability to communicate and connect with people, because you reach a certain point where you're like, hey, it's not about me. And due to the fact that the numbers stay statistically as we get older, the less time you have to do and have an impact on people. It's like, what are you going to leave behind? And that's kind of like the biggest thing, that connection, that support. And then also having them realize, you know, their mindset and how they approach things. It's the sky's the limit for where they want to go.
Yeah, the thing that resonates with me with what how your response was in terms of mindset was having an open mindset, just being open, you know, and the comment around making it till you make it. I think I think ultimately when people are in that space, it can clearly be defined as, during this time, I'm going to remain open. I'm going to, you know, be able to be open for feedback, being able to sort of hear what people are saying, until, you know, I'm able to define sort of, this is the direction I'm going to go in. This is what I'm going to do. This is me, right? These are my non-negotiables. These are the things that I'm flexible with. And to get there, it's all about, you know, how do you stay open with being mindful of these things, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Great point, Mike. Great point. I'm a new recruit. What's some advice that you have for me as I'm going through this recruiting process?
Like with anything, it's knowing yourself and being comfortable as a recruit. Like, you always may get caught up in like the bells and whistles of an atmosphere, but you have to be able to kind of sit back and be open and realize, you know, who you're connecting with. Are you connecting with the things that they're able to give you, like the shoes, the shirts, this and that, or are you really connecting with the other people on the team that you'll be joining with? Are you connecting with the coach that you'll be playing for? Are you connecting with you know, the whole vision of what the staff has for you, and the coach has for you, compared to what you may have in your mind? It's one of those things where, are they helping you think bigger picture, further out? I mean, as a recruit, it's always nice to be wanted. And when you're getting recruited, like, everybody loves you and everybody's on your best behavior. And I tell people, like, it's easy for me to tell you all the things you want to hear, but I probably would say, like, do some research yourself, you know, sit down with other people who may know something about me or the program or the other people that you'll be playing with. And it's also realizing it's you versus you at the end of the day. Like, what are you going to be comfortable with? What are you going to thrive in? What are you going to demand of yourself? What are you going to hold yourself accountable to? So I'd be cognizant of
Those
that.
are good. Those are good. That is good feedback if you're even thinking about what career or job you're looking to go into, right? Like, I think that those parallel very well. and really some things that you should take away when you're going through that process. Now I'm on campus. All right. I'm here. This is new for me. This is crazy. First time my parents aren't around. I'm now going against players that are either just as good as me or sometimes better than me. The coach doesn't necessarily see the same value in me as maybe my high school coach saw, or at least that's how I feel. What advice do you have?
I'm not getting the same type
Right,
of
I'm not getting the same type of attention, right? What advice do you have for me as I'm going through that situation?
As you're going through that, it's one of the things I want you to know, that you're not alone. Like you said, if everything had been going to a plan, going according to plan, excuse me, probably the biggest thing about when you're in a situation, it's evaluating the little steps that you can take to help yourself improve what you're going through. Because no doubt, like you said, there will be ups and downs, and nothing goes as smooth as you want in life. But I'd say the biggest thing when you're in those rough patches is finding little bit of things that bring you joy, away from that scenario, whether it's stepping out and going hiking and being around family. But when you get back into that task of scenario, kind of having the approach of like, okay, today's a new start, a new day. If I can concentrate on maybe 3 things to get better at, whether it's my attitude, whether it's my effort during this time, or whether if it's, focusing on a minute detail, like every time I'm shooting, I'm going to follow through, or every time I'm in this sales meeting, I'm going to mention, where we stand, our product stands in the market, on how we can improve. So if you're able to kind of like narrow those things, from the size of the elephant to the size of the ant, I think as you go on, you'll realize the progress that you're making. Because when you have a big, huge goal, like, oh, I'm going to be the star and all American, this and that, it's like, well, that's a great goal, but like, how do I get there? And that's one of the toughest things to forget. Your success is basically the sum of all your little actions. It's like what you continually do, what you continually hear, what you continually see, and what you continually act on.
Booker Harris, my brother, man, thank you so much for coming and visiting us, spending this time with us. It has been a joy. There's been a lot of takeaways. If you're a student athlete, you're looking to be successful, this might be an episode, these last 2 episodes, you want to go back and look at again. And if you're just young in your career in general, not even athletics, might be some episodes you want to go back and take some gems from, because there were a lot of good ones. As always, please like, share, and subscribe. It really helps us, and the support has been amazing. And once again, I know Booker mentioned it, we mentioned it in our last episode, but www.realizingnow.com. If you do need help working through any of this stuff, mindset, goal setting, career development, hey, I'm doing really well in my career and I want to take the next step, Mike and I are here for you. We can give you a free assessment of your situation and then help guide you through your challenges. So give us a call. We'd love to hear from you. Also, please continue to watch. It's really been helpful for us. So thank you, everybody. Thank you again, Booker, and enjoy your week. We'll see you guys next week.